But now the large Volvo estate is back. This is the new V90. It is a near 5 metre long wagon. Does it herald the return of the antique dealer cliche? Can you pack me a wardrobe and call me Lovejoy? Not quite. Look at this vastly sloping rear roofline. If the boot were like this, like Volvos of old, it might have a luggage space that wasn't smaller, marginally, than an Audi A6, a BMW 5 Series, or a Mercedes E-Class. Tiny amount, tiny amount. It's big enough, but action, Volvo says, comes in the front. Now, depending on who at Volvo you ask, this is either the first time in decades, or perhaps even the first time ever, that Volvo has had a large estate car that it considers can really cut it with those premium German cars that I mentioned. And no denying, it is pretty lovely in here. There is loads of leather, there is loads of wood, there is metal that looks and feels like metal, and there is this touchscreen display in the middle that works with all of the ease of a smartphone. It does swooping, it does zooming. It's a lovely thing, as well it might be. The basic price of this V90 is £35,000. If you get this top spec D5 like this, it is at least 44 grand. By the time you've added a sunroof, the kick-ass stereo, the 20-inch alloys on the outside and the air springs at the rear, you are looking at round about a £50,000 Volvo estate car. A car that only has a 2-litre diesel engine. Now, in one of the rivals, you would probably get a 3-litre V6 diesel at this point, but Volvo says it's not going to fit those. They are not efficient enough. And to try and make up some of that ground, this D5 engine is quite clever. 2-litre straightforward diesel, but it's got a small compressed air cylinder, and it fires a little bit of compressed air just as you get back on the throttle at low revs before the turbos have spooled, to try and fill that torque gap, to try and fill the turbo lag. And it works. Overall power is about 230 horsepower, 0 to 62 is 7 and a bit seconds, but actually in its responsiveness, it is not bad. The gearbox sometimes, as it did just then, lets it down. So, what you can do instead is pop the drive mode into dynamic. That improves the gearbox and engine response, and it also firms up the dampers, which are adaptive as standard. Now, those dampers have got two modes. There is comfort and there is dynamic. In between the two, somewhere, there would be the perfect setup. In comfort, the V90 just floats a little bit over crest. It's a little bit soft. Whereas in dynamic, the opposite is true. It's very well tied down, but you just occasionally get a little bit of patter over harsh surfaces. Probably wouldn't be so bad if it weren't on 20-inch alloys. But the fact is, it steers quite keenly. It's quite engaging. Volvo will no longer make, it says, boring cars to drive. And if you do find it a boring car to drive, well, you can let it drive itself. Because autonomous driving, along with electrification and safety, ensuring nobody dies or is seriously injured in its cars, is one of the things that Volvo is quite into at the minute. So here we are. This is semi-autonomous. Volvo is very clear about this. This is not autonomous driving, it's semi-autonomous. You are in charge. So if I take my hands off the steering wheel, it will tell me in a minute that I should have my hands back on again. But it is doing the steering, it is doing the acceleration and braking, it is keeping a safe distance from cars in front. Meanwhile, I can sit, I can browse through Spotify and things like that while it's doing it. It will not hold it during a lane change. But it does mean that this Volvo is a particularly relaxing car on a motorway. And actually you can't hear the diesel engine grumble and things like that here. You can just sit back, relax and enjoy what the Volvo is about. It dares you to like it. It says, yeah, I'm a bit different to the German norm. Take it or leave it. If you like me, like me. I quite like it. Can you see me? Can you see me now? Visibility is a little bit restricted by this C-pillar, but this car is cavernous. This is a 5'10" me behind effectively a 5'10" me driving position, and I've got loads of legroom. I've got a decent amount of headroom too. Let's have a look at the boot. Boot space is 560 to 1526 litres. Now 560 is about ballpark for the class, 1526 is a little bit smaller than most rivals, but it's a relatively clever space. You get the boot divider, it's got some width for the obligatory golf clubs either side, and to be honest with you, unless you carry a wardrobe every other day, I really don't think you're going to complain too much. Even more practical stuff then, like this storage cubby. That is standard, and so is that one, and so is that one. Those seats are not there, and that's £1,750 worth of ventilated seat, massaging there, look, 650 quid extra. There's a glove box, called. And here is some terrible reversing caught on a £700 camera. Did we mention those 20-inch alloys? They're nice, aren't they? But they do cost 1,700 quid, but still, nice car.